I'm Daphne from Daps Makeup, and I am excited to talk about the new Lisa Eldridge Summer collection because I did get her new eyeshadow palette in one of her 3 new lipstick shades. So let's get a little bit closer and let's really talk about these products. All right, let's take a look at the eyeshadow palette. So it's the shade Desert Gleam. I'm gonna open it up. So the outside packaging is just like all of her others. There's always this cover, plastic cover that comes with it, and these are the shades. All right, so they're kind of slight. Some of the colors are a little slightly like warm. Like my first thought when I look at this, I think warm, especially because of the gold and everything like that. But really working with and using it, there's actually shades that actually lean more cool, more neutral, but you get that like bronzy, kind of feel to this palette. It's definitely a different color story compared to her other palettes that she has. Earlier this year, she came out with a limited edition palette. I'm not sure if this one is limited edition, but yes, this is the palette. This kind of color story I totally gravitate to, so I couldn't help but to get it, especially because I really love the limited edition one. So this is now my 3rd palette that I own from Lisa Eldridge. I'll let you know how this compares to the other 2 I own. Maybe tell you where I rank my 1, 2, and 3 of my Lisa Eldridge palettes. But I'll let you know what I think about this formula, because especially my other 2 palettes are very shimmer heavy. And this is my first palette where I have 3 matte shades. So this time I'm actually really getting to truly understand her matte formula. And I do have opinions about her matte formula. So yes, I'm excited to go over this eyeshadow palette. And then she came out with 3 lipstick shades. This isn't her refillable rouge lipsticks. They always come in these cases. This time I actually bought just the refill. It came like this. There is a cap, which I already took off, but I just replaced it, and you just snap it in to any of your cases that you own. And I got the deep brown shade, or the deepest shade, called Ray, and it's this beautiful brown. It is on my lips now. I'll even reapply. It's a beautiful shade. Totally works on my skin tone. Actually, it actually looks even cooler than I anticipated, but I do love it. Great formula. If you haven't tried this formula, it's great. I love her lipstick formula. I think that's what she's best at, honestly. I like her eyeshadows, but lipstick is where she truly excels. I particularly love her, and she's known for her matte formula, but even this satin formula is really good. It's really good. So if you don't like matte and you prefer satin formulas, her formula is a great satin formula. So this is the lipstick. So I can already tell you off the bat, love the lipstick. I think this is a great shade, especially for deeper skin tones. So this, I say, is a definite win. But the rest of this video, I'm going to really start concentrating on the eyeshadow. So I do have them on now. But this is not the first time that I've used this palette. This is at least my 4th time at this point. If you follow me on my Instagram, Daps_makeup, you would have already seen the looks that I've created thus far with this palette. So what I'll do is I'll show you some of the looks that I've done. But I do have a demo video showing you how I created this look. So you'll get to see how the shadows worked in action to create this look. And then I'll give you my final thoughts. What do I think about the matte formula, shimmers, the palette as a whole, and how I feel it compares to her other shadow palettes that based on what I own. All right, let's first go over my previous eye looks that I created and that I had posted on Instagram. I'll be looking down at my phone. I'm just looking at the pictures, but I'll have it posted up here. And I'll try to briefly just tell you, if I can recall, what shadows I used to create this look. Try to make each one, a little bit more distinctive, use different particular shadows for each look. So look number 1 is the simplest. So for this look, I had only used the top row. Only 3 shades and only use the top row. So, you know, when you just do just these, it's kind of neutral to cool. So there's no real warm tones like over here. Very neutral colors, neutral to cool colors. So I at first went in with this shade here all over my transition. We'll talk about this more, but this shade is very close to my skin tone. So it really doesn't show up as much. I'm not saying it shows up ashy, but it just really blends into my skin. So it's really hard for this color to pick up on me. But thank goodness I have this shade. So this did bring the depth that I needed. So I put that in the crease, and then I had this on the lid, and it's a really pretty shimmer. So it was a very simple look, but it was nice. So for my second look, I didn't want to hold back as much. So I used 5 out of the 6 shades. The only one that I skipped was this shade. But yeah, this one really incorporated, you know, all of these, and it just had more dynamic to the look. Yeah, I think it was a really pretty look. Now for my third look, I was trying to kind of emulate a look that Lisa Eldridge has posted on her page. It was one of the looks that really drew me into wanting the palette in the first place. Now I recognize that my skin tone is deeper than the models, so you know, different eye shapes and all these kinds of things. So my look wasn't going to be exactly like hers, and I had to kind of modify things based on my skin tone and just my personal preference. So when I did this look, you know, I did go in here with the transition because that's what they did. And then I put the green on the inner and outer, but I then put this also within my transition and outer lash line. I wanted more color, especially like I said, this color just disappears on me. So I probably added more green to the look than is in the original, but just for my personal taste, I just felt that was necessary. This is the shimmer that was used in the center. And then this was in the inner corner. So, I mean, I followed it for the most part, but I did incorporate more green to my look just because I just felt like for me, it needed more color and depth. You know, like I said, based on my personal preference, my skin tone, my eye shape. And lastly, we're going to go over this look that I did today. You're going to see the demo video. I wanted to especially concentrate in this area, but particularly these two, just because this gold and all my previous looks, if I did use it, it was more just like in the inner corner. So I was really excited to put this all over my lid. So that's what you see all over the lid. The green, I know I have been using it, but a lot of times, like, I was still incorporating this, which I felt like kind of diluted the shade. So in this one, I really just went all in with the green. Now, I still went in with the brown to provide some depth, but I just wanted more of the pigmented shades to show through. So I wanted these 3 to be the star, and have these more take a backseat. But watch the demo video, see how this look came about. And then we'll do swatches. Then I'll tell you what I think about the actual formula. All right, so I'm going to be using Lisa Eldridge's new Desert Gleam palette with you. I've actually have used this a couple of times now, but this will be my first time on camera. If I haven't already, I will be showing you pictures of the other looks. If you've been following me on Instagram, then you would have already seen it. But let's get into it. I probably won't use every shade. I've used them all, and you'll see it with the other looks. I think I'm going to concentrate. I especially want to use this gold all over my lid because I've been using more just in my inner corner. I want to incorporate the green. I'll probably use this square right here. So I'll probably skip out on these 2, but don't worry, I'll tell you what I think about those because I've definitely used them in other looks. So let's just get started. guys, maybe I'll try my best to incorporate these two on the lower lash line. Off camera, finished the eye look, you know, mascara and all, put some blush, highlighter, bronzer, all that good stuff. So all that's left to do is lipstick. I did put a brown lip liner on, but we gotta try the new Lisa Eldridge lipstick that came with this collection, and that's the shade Ray, beautiful color brown. So let me apply it on my lips now. It applies so smoothly. So comfortable on the lips, and a beautiful shade of brown. All right, so this is the final makeup look. So we'll get together now and talk. Gotta go. Okay, I hope you found that demo video helpful. So now let's break down these shadows. So let's do swatches, and as I'm swatching them, I'll let you know my opinion about the shadow formula. And you know, just kind of go along and let you know what I think of the palette. I'm going to start with here. Now this one, I didn't get to really use it too much in the demo video. I used it a little bit in the lower lash line at the last minute because I just wanted to just use it for you guys so you could see it on camera. If you felt like, I didn't really see it, well, as I've been alluding, this color just disappears on me. So here we go. I'm gonna swatch with you now. So this is a shadow, and as you can see, you can barely see it now, and especially when you blend this out, it just kind of disappears on me. So like this in my transition, it's kind of like nothing. Not bad, but it doesn't give me anything at all. Now I think where this can work for me, you know, like in this look, like instead of me putting this gold shimmer, I could have put this on my lid, and then it would pop more in the contrast of the brown and the green in my transition. Putting this color on my lid, I do believe that would work. But like using this to blend out, especially like in a transition, I'll even put it on this side of my arm so maybe you can see it better. You know, I got more of a tan here. So there you can see it. So you can imagine if I pack this on my lid, this would show up. But when you go to blend this, as you can see how it just disappears. So it's not a great shadow for me for my transition. Just saying. This shimmer is great. It's called Luminous. I like this formula. It's a little bit more of a chunkier shimmer, but like it shows out. It's beautiful, and it's like gold and silver, a little warm but little cool tone. It's a great color that just kind of shifts gold, silver, and so that's what I use on the inner corners today, so you can really see that shimmer really pops on me. Now this shade, so this one is called Dunes, I believe. This one is Christina, and this one is Acacia. I think I'm probably mispronouncing these shadows names. Here is the deepest shade, and thank God for the shade. Thank God for this shade, because this is the one shade that provides the depth that is desperately needed in this palette. So I'm so thankful for this brown shade. It's deep and has a coolness to it that I really love. This shimmer down here called Ablaze, it's a metallic. It's a nice shimmer, gives nice shine, not as chunky or sparkly as the Luminous, so you can see how it's different in its formula, but it's nice, and it's nice and smooth. Obviously green, you know, I think probably for all of us, like that's one of the main colors that will attract us to this palette is this green shade. You know, and you can see what it looks like in the pan and what it looks like on my arm. So it shows up. It's not like super deep, but it does show up. It's more of an olivey green, so it's a pretty shade of green. So there's the matte there. And then lastly, we got Firefly, which is also considered a metallic. And that's a bright yellow gold. So, you know, in terms of colors, it's probably the one that pops more just based on the color and shine alone. This pops because of the, you know, it has more sparkle to it. And like I said, the yellow silver, gold silver tone to it just really pops. So, you know, these are your shimmers that pop the most. You have these two to give some color and depth. Yeah, but like I said, this one, as you can see, when it comes to this palette, this is my least favorite. For those of fair skin tones, I'm sure it pops and it works well. But just for me, you know, I just wish it was just more pigmented against my skin tone personally. Now, how does this palette compare to her other palettes? Now, I don't own every Lisa Eldridge palette. I only own 2 others. So, in terms of the other ones that I own, the last one I got is her limited edition Betty. Which honestly, probably my favorite. It's a fun color story. Obviously, this colors pop. You know, I love purples and, you know, it's just fun. It's a fun color story. It has no matte, so that's kind of the downside about this one. So I always have to go to an outside palette. But I don't mind because the shimmer formula in this is fabulous. I find that this has the best shimmer formula out of, at least all the palettes that I own. I just think in general, this is probably the best one. And of course, this was the one that was limited edition that I believe is sold out. Yeah, take that for what you want. Because this one, in terms of the formula, it does have metallics that you see in the other one. It has luminous, it has a luminous duo, it has a luster. So they do have some different shimmer formulas that are different than... they're not exactly the same. There's some that are similar to the other palette, but there's some are different. Should I swatch? Maybe I'll do it real fast. But like the shimmers on these, and even though this is close to my skin tone, trust me, that one like pops. This one I love. It's just, you know, and they work really well. They're easy to work with. They really show out. They're beautiful shades. So I really love the formula. I just find this has the best shimmer formula out of all that I've tried from Lisa Eldridge. So, you know, I fell in love with this one so much that probably pushed me even more to get the current palette, which I like. And the shimmer formula is not bad in the current one, but I do say it was better in this. The first palette that I ever bought from her is one of her standard palettes. It's Sorcery. When this first came out, it sold out like that. I believe, I haven't checked if it's still available at the moment, but it goes in and out of stock. So this is one that is in her permanent collection, so it'll always be there. You know, I love greens and blues and silvers, so obviously I was really gravitated towards this one. The one thing about this palette compared to a lot of her standard palettes is, as you can see, this is a very shimmer heavy palette. There's one matte in there, but the other 5 are all shimmers, and they're all the metallic, for the most part, the metallic formula. I'm going to come back to the matte. I'm going to come back to her matte formula in a second. Here's just a swatch. So, I mean, it does have depth to it. And then, you know, you have all the metallics. And they all work well. You know, the looks that I've created, this is the fun one. This is the one unique one because that's a luminous duo. Her luminous formula is the best. But then the rest are back to being metallics, which are nice. Whenever I do a look with this palette, it always comes out nice. I have nothing, like it always comes out nice. But I just feel like, okay, it's an okay formula. The metallic formula is an okay formula. But yeah, I especially love her luminous duo, luster. So when she uses those terminology, which is more in the Betty palette, these shimmers are I just find they perform better. So let's get back to the palette that we're really here for, so I can really give you my final thoughts about this formula. Back to the palette that we're really here to talk about. Just to round up my thoughts. So as I said, you know, as you can see from my previous palettes, the palettes I've gotten from Lisa Eldridge thus far have been very shimmer heavy. She has standard palettes, permanent palettes that are matte heavy. I just never got them. So I never really immersed myself with her matte formula. But with half of these being mattes, now I have a better understanding of her matte formula. What do I think about her matte formula? I don't hate it, but I can't say it's my favorite. And this is a definitely personal preference. When I was thinking about this matte formula, it feels like a cream to powder kind of formula, and it reminds me of Natasha Denona, which should and understandably excite most people. You know, Natasha Denona is well-known brand. It's one of my favorite brands of all time. I love her formula and everything like that. But I do have a personal love-hate relationship with Natasha Denona, and this is me personally. Some people absolutely love her cream to powder, and that's the reason why she's famous. That's the reason why they love her. I'm not the biggest fan of her cream to powder, so I'm just bringing out one of her palettes. I own a lot of Natasha Denona palettes, so understand me as I'm making these critiques. I'm someone who owns a lot of Natasha Denona, so it's never has been enough to stop me from buying her palettes. They are one of my most used brands in my collection, period. But okay, here's one that Biba that I know everybody loves. Everybody loves Biba. It's one of her most loved. I like it, but I really don't love it as much as a lot of other people do. And I'm going to show you why, just for me, in terms of the cream to powder formula, what I feel about the formula for me, just how it reacts with my skin tone, my skin type. And so my feelings might not apply to you, but this is how I feel. So I'm going to just look at this row in the middle. As you can tell, there's kind of like couple of mattes that look very similar, like these two look similar, and then these two look similar. But it basically is kind of like, I guess this is cream to powder and this is regular, cream to powder, regular. I'm going to swatch them, and I'm going to show you how, you can even see by the swatches, how the texture is different on my skin tone. So this one's toning. You can see how it looks in the pan. Here it is on my finger, if you can even see it. I know it's light to see it. I'll try to swatch it here. I'm going to swatch it, and then I'm going to do both. And then this is the other one right next to it. You can even see, and I know you could argue it's not the exact same shades. I get it, but I'm telling you, there's a difference. You can see how much deeper this is. And the thing is, when you blend these out, they always disappear on me. You know, versus, you know, like this will stay there. I can blend it and the pigmentation stays. And I know you're going to be like, well, it's just a light shade. It's a light shade. Okay. This is pretty deep, right? Okay. So, there's a little bit of black in here. Hold on 1 second. And I'll just swatch again. Okay. Sorry, this is going to be a bad swatch. But okay, there it is there. So it's deeper. Okay. And then I'm going to do shade at the end with my pinky. There's similar shades, but you can see how much this shows up on me versus this one. And then when you go to blend, I know this one will stay because it's deeper, so it'll show up, but like you see how it kind of disappears versus, sorry, I'm just make sure I'm using the same fingers. This shows up more. But in the pan, look how deep this looks. Look how deep this looks. And then on my skin tone, it's never that deep. It's just not that deep. So whatever, with this kind of formula, they always look deeper in the pan than it looks on me. They always seem to just kind of disappear. I'm not going to right now, but I could grab, there's another like Natasha Denona palette I have. It's a deep green in the palette. And then I go to put it on me and it disappears. Like it shouldn't, like, so it's not even about like, oh, it's because it's a fawn shade. No, even when I do like a deep green, they will disappear. It's the formula and how it works for me. Now, with that being said, these two still showed up on me. And I feel like actually like this green, the more I use it, the more, like today, I felt like it really showed itself better today. I was good enough not to kind of try to mix it with this. I don't know, but like maybe just kind of getting off that top layer I feel like it's actually more pigmented for me today, so that made me happy. This one always shows up for me, so that provides the depth that I need. So I'm okay because I have these two, and so that's fine. So if I can't really use the shade, I'm willing to let that go. The shimmers all work lovely. So I do really like the shimmer. So I really like the shimmers. The formula, just a personal preference, cream to powder. And it's not all cream to powders. Everybody has a different kind of cream to powder. Like Tom Ford has a cream to powder, but it leans more cream than powder. So those shadows do pop on me. Versus like Natasha Denonna's cream to powders, but they lean more powder. And so they disappear. It's, you know, so sometimes it depends on the ratio of the cream to powder, that kind of thing. Like I said, if you have Natasha Denonna and you love her cream to powder, then you are going to love this. And then I say, go ahead and get it. If you are one of those who are not the biggest fan of Natasha Denonna's cream to powder, then, you know, you might want to have a little bit of a pause. But just like Natasha Denonna, even if you're not the craziest about her mattes, then you end up loving her shimmers. And I do like the shimmers, and I do love this color story. So I'm not mad that I got the palette because I love this color story. It's a color story that I gravitate to normally a lot anyway. The shimmers show out. I can work with the mattes, like I said, particularly the green and the brown, so it's all good. I'll try to find a way to make that light one work. Like I said, I'll probably later on do a look where I put it on my lid, but to use on my transition is kind of pointless. It just, like what I had showed you when I did on the lower lash line and you didn't really see it. Well, if I spread all of my transition, it's like I put nothing on. It really is. Just saying. But yeah, that's what I think about it. It's a good palette. It's not my favorite matte formula, but it's good. The shimmers are nice color story. And you already know I love the lipstick, so I'm really happy about this lipstick shade. So it's cool to have a cool brown tone from Lisa Eldridge. She tends to lean warm, so I'm happy that she gave us this offering. So yeah, those are my final thoughts on Lisa Eldridge Summer 2025. If you stayed this long and you're not already subscribed, consider subscribing to my channel. And you know, otherwise, I just hope you have a great day. I'll see you next time. When the next items that come into my collection, I'll show to you guys. But until then, have a great day. Bye.